Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:37 now. It's Larry and Julie, and I want to get right to Chairman Jim Jordan, one of my faves up on Capitol Hill. Chairman Jordan, good Tuesday morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be with you guys. Thanks for having me.
One of the highlights, I believe, of your tenure over the last couple of years was your questioning of then FBI Director Christopher Wray over the infamous Richmond memo targeting practitioners of the traditional Latin Mass. We've now learned, thanks to your counterpart in the Senate, Chuck Grassley, that despite Christopher Wray's testimony back to you that day in 2023, this was not a single isolated incident and the product of just that one office. Thousands of FBI, or over 1,000, I should say, of FBI offices, plus 13 other instances of anti-Catholic language used in FBI documents. Chairman Jordan, did Christopher Wray lie to you under oath?
Sure appears that way. He said, this was, I remember, this is egregious, this is wrong, we stopped it right away.
He said he was aghast. He said, which sounds like exactly. Dialogue from Downton Abbey. I'm aghast that this happened.
So, but it was obviously more widespread than he indicated. We've actually learned some other things that we think are important too about, just what they were doing. Remember, they wanted to get inside the parish, spy on Americans practicing their faith.
Right.
All while they couldn't tell us. I mean, this is always a thing to me. They could investigate moms and dads at school board meetings. They could label pro-life Catholics as extremists, try to get inside a parish and investigate them, but they couldn't tell us who planted the pipe bombs. They couldn't tell us who leaked the doctor's opinion, and they couldn't tell us who put cocaine at the White House. So that's
more so, Chairman Jordan. Before the FBI goes undercover at a mass to spy on a citizen who is practicing their faith, doesn't there have to be at least some evidence of an underlying crime? Why is the FBI investigating innocent Americans because they suspect they might be involved in some unlabeled crime? Yeah,
a lot of this was this mindset that if you're, to use, I guess, probably the language that they would think of it and the terms they would think of it in, is if you're some hillbilly in flyover country, Trump supporter, there's this disdain for you. Never forget when the text messages back and forth back during the whole Russia collusion hoax, the text message between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. There was the one text message where Peter Strzok says, "I'm in the Northern Virginia Walmart. I can smell the Trump supporters." That's the attitude they have. And so there was this view that if you're a Trump person, a MAGA person, whatever, you were somehow an extremist and that you needed to be investigated. And that started to just branch out to like moms and dads simply showing up at a school board meeting to be, to see what kind of curriculum was being taught at their school, or if you're a pro-life Catholic. It was this mindset that was just present, unfortunately, in the Wray FBI, and we saw it really manifest itself during the Biden Garland DOJ.
Chairman, Trump has 3 years and I guess 7 months or something now left in his term, and who knows what's going to happen after that. But there is some worry that these people in the FBI who we've just been talking about, that memo that went to thousands of FBI personnel, and there was not one whistleblower or someone who came forward and said, I think this is bad to investigate Catholics and to investigate parents. I mean, they are so entrenched over there at the FBI. Is there enough time? I mean, Kash Patel has such a big job ahead of him to try to weed out these people. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, a couple things. One, I do think it's night and day, the difference between having Pam Bondi versus Merrick Garland and Kash Patel versus Chris Wray. So these guys are doing, I think, the Lord's work and doing a good job. Second, I do think that still the vast majority of agents are good. We've had a couple of retired agents who've worked for our committee, great guys right out of Central Casting, worked in Pittsburgh and Cleveland, just good guys who are focused on getting bad guys. And finally, third, while maybe not enough people came forward, there were some whistleblowers. That's how we initially learned about the Catholic memo. That's how we learned about the parents and what was happening, the investigation of moms and dads showing up at school board meetings. It was because some brave whistleblower came forward. So we had a number come forward. We actually had him testify a couple years ago. in the Judiciary Committee from the FBI. And, of course, we had from other agencies whistleblowers come forward who were helpful, namely Mr. Shapley and Mr. Ziegler, who came forward in the IRS and told us about the Hunter Biden, the special sweetheart deal that was happening in that investigation. So God bless those guys who have. I do think, though, in the end, the leadership is the problem. It's not – I think by and large the rank-and-file members of the FBI in federal law enforcement are good people doing good work and focusing in on what they're supposed to. Finally, the last thing I would say is we learned that the budget at the FBI, more than half of the $12 billion spent annually at the FBI is spent on surveillance and intelligence gathering and counterintelligence. It's spent on spying on Americans when it should be just like, go get the bad guys, the money launderers, the drug dealers, go get the bad guys, the organized crime, go get those traditional bad guys versus spying on American citizens.
One more item on this, and then I want to turn to the mayhem in Los Angeles. You can't do your job as a congressman if people can lie with impunity in front of you. And more importantly, the American people deserve to know that the director of the FBI, when he's under oath, is telling the truth. And, you know, between Christopher Wray just now, where you said it appears that he lied to you under oath, and we know that James Comey, at the very least, stretched the truth beyond recognition. Will there be any action here? Are you interested in making referrals to the Justice Department and have any kind of repercussions?
I always say everything's on the table. We'll look at all this again. We have done referrals in the past for certain individuals who we thought came in front of the committee and lied. I'm thinking right now of Michael Cohen, for goodness sake, when he came and lied a few years ago. So we'll look at all that, and then but in the end, it's up to the Justice Department to decide if they're going to prosecute.
Chairman Jordan, you, like the rest of us, are watching what is transpiring on the streets of Los Angeles over the last several days, and I think that it was wise for the president to send in a small number of troops to protect federal buildings and protect federal law enforcement.
Yep.
But we see these behaviors. You see the rioters, they dress the same way, they seem well-equipped, they seem coordinated, and they all use the same tactics from city to city to city. At this point, is this not a national issue? Or in some way, as some people have said, maybe this is RICO. They are being funded. Is this not an organized criminal event? It appears to be.
Fair question, and it's funny. We had our meeting with Judiciary Committee members last week, and we're looking at, we may investigate some of this as well because it is seem coordinated. And you have someone's telling me you get people just drive up and they'll drop off pallets or whatever, and it looks like pretty darn organized activity. My biggest takeaway, though, I gotta admit, is the reaction from the left. I mean, the left always gets it wrong, and you have now elected officials like the governor of California, suing the Trump administration. They always wanted to, seems to me, to defend the bad guys, and it's like this is crazy. Somehow, President Trump sending in the National Guard to protect the community, to protect law enforcement out there, federal law enforcement. Somehow, he's the bad guy, and it's not the people who are destroying cars, burning cars, throwing things off of overpasses. Somehow they're not the bad guy. I never can figure out the left. It seems like they always get it backwards, always get it wrong.
Yep. All right. And finally, exit question. As a man from Ohio, it's June now, summer months ahead. Are you a Cedar Point guy or a Kings Island guy?
It's funny. I used to represent almost up to Cedar Point, so we kind of like Cedar Point, but we haven't been to either of those amusement parks in years, I will tell you. But yeah, our old district used to go way up, right just south of Cedar Point, but now we're a little farther south than that.
Cedar Point's amazing.
Both are great amusement parks. Cedar Point's been around forever.
I would say, as much as I love my home state of Michigan, when it came summertime, we did not go to amusement parks in the Wolverine State. We would go down to Cedar Point. You had to go to Ohio for the good roller coasters.
You came to God's country for the good roller coaster.
Let's not push it. All right, let's not. Thank you, Congressman. Always good to talk to you, Chairman Jim Jordan.